we're going to have so much fun. First, I'm going to hide you, and then we'll introduce you like a fun thing. We'll do that.
Hey, you already had me live, and now you don't have me live.
You're on, you're off. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I am beyond excited today because, we're going live. We did it last week. We had a good friend of mine, Tammy, who's obviously beautiful and wonderful. And I wasn't going to start off my live episodes with this particular guest because he's not beautiful in any way whatsoever. Well, maybe he is a little bit. Who knows? But he's all right. And what we like about him most is he is actually instrumental to the creation of this podcast program. He is, as I like to say, podcast extraordinaire, CEO of Turnkey Podcast, the host of the Nice Guys on Business podcast. He's been on this show several times before. I've been on his show who knows how many times. Thrive Loud listeners and viewers, I bring you the Doug Sandler.
Oh my gosh, Lou Diamond. I love being here. Hey man, you like my podcastologist shirt? Now I
do like your podcastology shirt. That is badass.
So if anybody goes to podcastologist.com, it's going to just take you right to my site.
What I like to say is that Doug is the guy that I go to when I want to figure out how to do something. And then what I do is I just do it better. Right? Isn't that how we do it?
Well, I would expect nothing less from you. You know how many times I've told the story of Lou Diamond and that Lou was my first podcast client. And I'm like, I don't know how much I should charge you for this. Lou, how much would you pay? He said $500. And I'm like, okay, that sounds good to me.
What's really funny though, is that you and I have only really just discovered this whole feature and going live. And It's actually cool because one, we have created systems on how our guests come through our program. And now all of a sudden we decided, let's throw a variable in there and let's do this thing live.
I didn't even realize that you were doing this. And when I said to Strick, I said, my partner, and of course you know him, but your community might not. So, well, he's the voice of Thrive Loud, I think, isn't he?
That's right.
So when I said to Strickland, I said, hey, Strick, I can you help me test the equipment? And he hopped on. He's like, my freaking camera doesn't work. He said, no, is this StreamYard? I just did this with Lou and it wasn't working with him either. And I thought it was, oh shit, this isn't going to work for my community. But we've done many successful interviews since. I now do all of my interviews. I just do them through using StreamYard as well.
Here's what I like about it. The interactiveness of we're just doing right now, be able to put up, information for viewers and everything is awesome. But the other part that's actually been better than that is the promotion of the episode. So since you can queue it up in Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever platform you use, it actually will let people know that you're going live ahead of it, which is pretty cool. So it's like your own little marketing engine.
I don't even understand how that part works because I've never seen it work other than somebody sent me you're scheduled to go live. I'm like, I just did that through StreamYard and that was really cool because they do it. Now on my side, because on the admin side, it shows me how many people are on. Now
Not a lot of people are here.
No, but on this side, it doesn't show me, which is good because when my guest is with me, if there's 0 people watching and, I don't really announce it a lot. So oftentimes there won't be anybody, but then I look like, a day or two later and I see 400, 500 views. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. It's a really cool thing.
It's interesting. We've got about like 6 or 7 on this end right now. And I know that it will get much higher as you watch it later. And what's really interesting is they'll catch it at different times. We also have found that like your episode, we're recording live right now, but we will end up playing it a few weeks later.
Yeah, on the podcast.
And it's like a whole other bunch of people.
I know. It's just you find the people where you meet people where they're at, Lou. That's one thing I figured that totally meet them where they're at.
So what I love to do, this is what we call a Thrive Loud live.
There's actually going to be some structure to this, Lou.
Wait, there's a little bit of structure, because I wrote some notes. This is a Thrive Loud catch-up episode, which is exactly what we're doing. We're catching up with Doug. And there's a lot of things going on in podcasting. And I said, I actually wanted to have these conversations with you because I think this would be really cool because we could actually make it a little concrete. And you and I will obviously joke around.
Well, you're going to have to reciprocate and actually be on mine.
Of course.
The only thing, and I know that StreamYard will work all of these bugs out, but things like I'd like to have 2 tracks so that I could actually do some editing on the other side.
So funny you say that because it doesn't, for those listening, when we record, we usually will have, let's say the guest track and the host track, and you could in case there's some sound issues. So it blends it together. But so far, the quality has been pretty good. So I'm not going to complain.
It's good. No, all has been good. I think it's a really cool platform. I'm only spending like $20 a month. And Lou, you might want to drop a link in the chat box for people to. Can you do that? Is there a link?
Sure.
Can you actually show a live? Can you write a comment and have your community see it?
I could do it really quickly and create a banner very quickly, like right now.
Well, wait, I know the banner, but wait, if somebody wanted to click on a link that you drop into StreamYard, would they be able to see it on the Facebook Live side? Other than the things that are going across right now, probably not. I'm not sure. You know what? Hey, if you are in Lou's community and you're listening right now and you're listening live, hey, can you drop a chat or a comment in the comment box? Because I would love to know how the comment things work, because I have never had anybody in the 3 days that I've actually been using it have dropped a comment. So do that. So drop a comment in the comment box. Tell me that Lou's better looking than me. Tell me that
you have better hair. I'm even wearing a hat to show it.
I don't know, Lou. It was turning gray before. Now it's turning gray and turning loose. I'm really afraid now.
We put up some social media stuff for you as well. But so here's where I wanted to start this, because this was actually really cool. At the time of this recording, less than a week ago, the biggest podcaster in the world signed one of the biggest deals in the world, and that's Joe Rogan signed $100 million deal with Spotify. Did you know about this?
You didn't hear the news then, did you?
Oh, what was it? There's more news?
I signed a $101 million deal with Apple.
See, I knew it. I knew I should have taken equity in Turnkey. What was I thinking? Gosh. Well, but along those lines, look, this is unbelievable. Where that has happened. I don't know if you knew this beforehand. Oh, by the way, you wanted to comment in the thing. Someone's already done it.
Hey, Christopher. Good to see you.
And look who did it. Of course, it was Christopher Morales, by the way.
Thank you, Christopher Morales. He is our social media director. Amazing guy. Hey, Lou's taking some ideas straight out of the Lou Diamond Thrive Loud book. We actually now have him on the profit side. We have him in the revenue generating side for Turnkey through our social media packages. Not giving too much of a plug here, but if you have a podcast and you need social media, we are the ones to do it with, because Christopher is amazing. And I want to make sure I got him up to full-time income really soon so he doesn't go out and look for another job.
Well, let's make it clear. Let's give that right now. This is Christopher's shout out. Congratulations to Christopher, who is wearing a Cornell hat, and this recording, for those who are seeing it, just graduated Cornell University.
Congratulations
to Christopher. Well done, man. Yep. Excellent job. And obviously we would have liked to have had a regular graduation, but what are you going to do?
I actually did one. I DJ'd a graduation. I put some of the pictures up on my Facebook profile, which was kind of fun because I had my entire DJ rig here and then left. I literally had 3 other monitors, huge monitors that were working. We had about 200 and some odd people that were in the group. It was kind of cool. I love doing virtual graduations. I would do another one of those.
It's good. I truth be told, I would rather see it happen. In person. Just because my daughter's high school graduation, we have no idea what's going on yet. They still haven't made a decision yet. Go figure.
Wow.
At the time of this recording, hopefully when this airs, maybe we're having the graduation at that point.
Nice.
I hope so. All right, so hold on. So we've had 2 huge deals. Earlier in the year, in January, you had Bill Simmons signed with The Ringer a $250 million deal. Joe Rogan last week signed a $100 million deal in podcasting. Why are you so far behind?
I am. What did I say on my show earlier today? I'm not a big shot in this business. I'm just a little shot that keeps shooting.
That's
so
good.
It's like I'm just a guy that's plugging along. I'm having a great time doing it. I love it. You know, I'm making an income literally sitting at my computer and on Zoom calls and figuring out where the money is, and it's great. If anybody's thinking about getting into podcasting, we actually are doing a masterclass in podcasting, selling shit. What is it? JJ, what's the name of our webinar?
This is the only way JJ comes on the show, is that we have to bring her in. Thrive Loud listeners, that's JJ Flazane's.
Selling for the serious podcaster or something like that. We're doing a masterclass. Whatever.
So actually, forget about the ridiculous dollars for a second. I do want to talk about this podcasting in COVID-19 amidst this crazy virus and world we're in.
Yeah.
How many people have asked you about starting a podcast in this window, whether to go through Turnkey or just had general questions as people were in social isolation? Because that number for me has gone up ridiculously.
A lot. As a matter of fact, we just recently joined JVology, Jay Facette's group, and we put 39 people through our program
Wow.
at one time.
Oh, wow.
At one time, it was the best. And now we have a group launch that is occurring on June 9th at 9 a.m. But what's so great about it is, can you imagine all of those people, just all of these new shows now? The odds are that not every single one of them is going to make it to launch day. However, there are well over a dozen that are highly serious about it and will be launching shows. And this has been really a great way to do it. A group launch. It's perfect.
It's a group launch, but it's also an interesting time. This is what I have found. I have been listening. I know you don't listen to podcasts. I know that we joke about that.
I don't even listen to mine, Lou.
Wait,
to say I listen to yours. I don't even listen. 1,100 episodes in, I don't even listen to mine anymore.
Listeners, check this out. Once a week, I will dive into Doug and Strickland host the Nice Guys on Business, and they do every 2 days of the week. They do the Nice Guys fuckery, for lack of a better word, where they two of them just talk about nothing, whatever it might be.
That's what this little guy is. That's the NGF logo. I don't know if you can see it.
It looks like a little drunk Nice Guys on Business logo that's fell down and hit the floor. Looks like you got a shave. Yeah, I love that.
Exactly.
You know what? Hold on one second. I did my requirements as a Nice Guys listener. I never got the pin.
Take it up with management. Strickland, I have no idea. I get these podcastologist t-shirts for my entire team, and I ship them out like 3 days afterwards. Strickland's been holding on to these fucking pins for the last 2 years. I'm like, Strickland, let the pins go.
In fairness, Strickland, I still owe a bottle of Kohana rum, which now he lives in the state of Texas, and I can actually have it shipped to him. Before he was in Maryland, and Maryland was very strict or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Very strict.
Okay, so podcasts are happening. You've been busy. Let's share with the world what you've been up to. What's been on your plate the last week or so? The things you're working on right now.
All launches, just launch. And again, Christopher is watching live. If he's continuing to watch live right now, we built all of these social media packages for our handful of clients that are now taking advantage of them. And it's great. I love offering a new service to an existing client base, and that way, I'd rather do more with who we have rather than go out and find more and build that know, like, and trust factor. They already trust us, they already know us, and they already like us. And we may as well put more of our services that help them, help us. Everybody is happy. But launch, and more launch. Right now, we're working on I think it's the date is July 1st, somewhere in there. We're doing an official launch of our Ultimate Podcast Launch Formula, which is our DIY program. So we hope to put over 100 people into podcasting between now and July 1st. And we could kick some serious booty here. I'm looking to become one of those $101 million people, but I'm going to do it my own way, putting people into podcasting.
All right. So you've been busy during this window of time, COVID-19. You also are hosting more than just one podcast show.
Yeah, I got a bunch.
Okay, so let's talk about
a laundry list of them.
I actually want to do this with you because I one time was asked how many shows is Doug on, and I got stuck mid-sentence saying I have no idea. So what I do know is you host the Nice Guys on Business podcast show.
Yep, you got that one.
Do we split that into? Is that still two with the Nice Guys?
We can keep that as one. It's now under the back to its same umbrella. Nice Guys on Business. Keep going.
As I look behind you, I see some images of your Mustang, your Ford Mustang from 1965. 65. Yeah. You have a podcast show about Mustangs?
It's called Ford Mustang, The Early Years. We're about 46 or 47 episodes, I think, into that one. And we're working on some really big plans with that too, to bring it out to the Mustang Club of America, which has, 150,000 members or something crazy like that. So that's going to be really cool when the show is already launched. You do some podcast with your house/roommate over there, JJ Flozans. What show is that? Yep, that would be Women, Men, and Relationships, where we talk about relationship pros and woes. So that's a good one. Why on earth would you be providing advice? I'm the before. You got to know the before. If anything, you know about me, Lou. After two struggling failed marriages, I am definitely the before. I'm working on the after, and the best way for me to work on the after is to have a pro like JJ help me do it.
Okay, so that's three. Have I missed any other ones?
Yeah, well, don't forget you got the TEDx podcast, which is our version of TEDx, which is a 7 to 10 minute version of a monologue show. I have the BizWiz podcast, which has just recently been taken over by Reed Rinaldi, who is a great host of the show, but I had been hosting that for quite some time. I had Human with Resources, but I recently had to bail. That was a third-party show that I was hosting and producing as well. So between, I think, did I get them all? I'm pretty sure. TEDx, BizWiz. Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's 7 or 8. I don't remember.
Question at hand is this. The world kind of stopped when COVID-19 hit, and lots of things couldn't happen. For those listeners who have heard Doug before and have hinted to this, as he mentioned that he DJ'd these virtual graduations, he had a whole business in helping do bar mitzvahs and weddings and bat mitzvahs. And obviously that has taken a halt because we can't necessarily get together.
I feel so bad for my partner, my ex-partner, Robert, who actually had that business and the amount of income. I mean, that's his income. And that's the, 25 people that work in that office. They were overnight brought to a screeching halt. And that's, millions and millions and millions of dollars in lost revenue. And I don't know that he or his company can ever recover that. I feel horrible in that situation. Fortunately, 5 or 6 years ago, actually 7 years ago now, I started making the transition out of my DJing business into podcasting, or into a professional speaking business that transitioned to podcasting. And I mean, my timing couldn't have been any better.
Well, that's what I was going to say, was not only did you make the transition, because when we first had you on the show, you talked about how your career, and one of the things that I observed both about you and your business partner, Strickland, is that you were both in the customer service industry, whether you knew it or not, and you were people. Yep. And your podcast show, Nice Guys on Business, actually always addresses those topics, whether you mean to or not. But you shifted and literally went balls to the wall, all in on podcasting, as our listeners have heard.
Lou, you were the catalyst. You were the catalyst to that. I mean, you brought. I mean, how many episodes ago did you launch your show?
So Thrive Loud is at 4. This will be in the 480s, for 480 or something like that is where Thrive Loud is.
So we met you 480 minus about 3 episodes ago, because we helped you do that welcome episode and stuff, and it's like it's been the best. I mean, you were a great catalyst for putting this together and helping us at least know that somebody in our community actually wanted something. Now, we met at a C-suite event in New York years ago, and that was the beginning, just the conversation. And the silly question that you asked, can you help me do this? And my honest answer, I don't know. I've never done this before. I'm willing to try. What would you be willing to pay? I can literally remember that conversation.
This actually, I can't believe I'm going to go here, because this actually does get to a point of how trust can be established really quickly, and you can connect with someone very, very easily. I met Doug right away, and I would argue he's like my older Jewish brother from another mother, even though I look like I'm older with less hair. But we started talking, and I'm like, I was approached by numerous podcast production companies about starting a podcast show, whether I was a guest on the show and they said, you should start one. And I said, you know what, this totally makes sense to launch the Thrive Loud program. And there was no other person I was going to go with. I basically said, I'm going to go with this guy.
We were friends from the very moment that we met at, I think it was a bar in New York, at the C-suite event that they were having. And it was no like, I'm hoping you didn't feel there was any pressure. I mean, I couldn't have been any like, I have no idea, Lou, we could certainly try this. And then coincidentally, Strickland, my partner in this business, he just happened to have been an audio engineer. I'm like, okay, well, he'll manage that side of it. I'll help you with the business side of it to get it off the ground. And we all just worked at this together. It was the best way a business could possibly ever start, through mutual respect for each other, through a friendship, a relationship already built. And, I feel I'm glad for the competition that actually got the business from me.
Well, but actually this is the point at hand, and this is it. So listeners have just heard that Doug's got more podcast programs that are on the airwaves that drop every single day than you could ever imagine. He has shifted his business to focus on the business of podcasting and helping to manage a lot of these companies and businesses. And let's not forget that he met the person he's very serious in living with, basically, through podcasting. Oh my gosh,
yeah. I met JJ 2.5 years ago, or almost 3 years ago now, I guess, at a podcasting conference podcast movement in Anaheim, California. And Nicole Holland, who is a mutual contact that we both
and a
had,
guest on the show as well. Shout out to Nicole. Purple.
Yeah, shout out to Nicole and purple hair. Nicole said, "Hey, you should meet JJ. You should have her on your show." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And she handed me her card or something like that. And it took a while, but we finally ended up getting her on one of the shows on Nice Guys, and then on BizWiz after that. And I think I lost the recording. I was so enamored by her or whatever. I don't remember what happened. Lost the recording. And that happens
a lot with you, by the way. We know this, right? You don't forget to hit record. One of the two.
Hired her as my personal trainer because that was the space that she was in addition to podcasting. My marriage fell apart unrelated to my relationship of trainer and client with JJ. And I'm like, it's probably easier to work in the circles that I already know rather than go on any kind of dating site. I'm not going to do that. So JJ and I connected, and literally within 2 months of my marriage ending in back east, I was out of a lease, and she was out of a husband also. So we said, well, I think the joke was, why don't we try to move in together? We'll just do this for 60 days. And I keep renewing. I'm on 60-day renewal cycle.
You're on 60-day leases? Is that what that is?
Yeah, I'm on a 60-day lease with her. Every 60 days, I basically pony up to, belly up to the bar and say, hey, can I extend my lease for another 60 days? And so far, every 60 days, she has accepted, and we have renewed the terms there. So I'm feeling good.
In the relation to automobiles, like your Mustang, you traded up.
I definitely landed in a position where I have someone in my life that is amazing. She understands me. She gets me. Yes, it's been a great environment, a really great environment. And I love living here in Los Angeles, and I love her, and it's great. It's a great relationship to be in.
And you can see it. You're happy, because for those who actually listened to your show when you were miserable, you could tell that you were miserable.
I hope not. It's really, it could have, the Nice Guys on Business is the name of the show. I guess it could have been called the Curmudgeons on Business. I guess it could have been called that. I didn't take it to that level though.
Okay. So what I want to hit with now is the things of where you see podcast going from here on, because the expression jump the shark. A lot of people say, am I too late to start a podcast? And I actually argue no freaking way, for a lot of reasons. It's instrumental to my business. Obviously, it's to yours. Where do you see, in your own mind, off the cuff here, where you think podcast is going in the next, call it 3 months, 6 months, things that you'll start to see more of?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously with a guy like Joe Rogan signed in $100 million plus contract with Spotify, I mean, it puts us in a position where it's now in the forefront of the media. And that's great. I mean, everybody that starts a podcast owns a media company, and whether you have one listener or 1,000 listeners, and that's probably, an excessive amount of listeners for an early show is to have 1,000 downloads or 1,000 listeners per episode. But at the same time, imagine filling a room of 20 people once a week and just sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. So in the short term, I see the relationship that Joe Rogan has with Spotify as being a huge win for the podcasting space. In 6 months, I continue to see this growing, amplifying, building, especially that people are inside more often. They're trying to figure out what's the way that I can actually take my face-to-face business and bring it online. And a podcast gives you an opportunity to do that. So even more, fuel to the fire of podcasting is going to be something very popular. Look at just the numbers right now: 1 billion blogs, 1 million podcasts that are out there. The vast majority of which haven't produced an episode in 90 days. Right. So I'm thinking there's far more opportunity doing a podcast than there is in the crowded space of a blog, but people still are building blogs, and there are 1 billion of those. I'm telling you, if the time to get into podcasting is right now. And I'm not saying that because I'm in the podcasting world. I'm saying that because that's the reality of it. Get into podcasting. I don't care if you use me. It certainly is great. But if you don't use me, get into podcasting, do it right. Come up with a goal, community, influencer, money, figure out why you're getting into podcasting, get into a system of accountability, consistency. I have my 10 podcast commandments, and I'm happy to share them with your community at some point, Lou, if you want an email to send out.
We could put them in the show notes, something that I know you care a lot about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know me and my show notes.
Hashtag no, he doesn't.
Hashtag no, I really don't. But yeah, I see podcasting going to going through this multiplier effect of being huge in the next 3-6 months in a year and beyond.
Okay. I haven't done this in a while with you because we do this thing called Fun Street here on Thrive
Oh,
Loud.
good. You're not going to ask me my favorite movie because I'd have to tell you.
No, we already did that.
I know, Reservoir Dogs.
And you don't really watch movies.
I don't.
But I'm going to add a little variable to that at the end. First of all, this is the question I've wanted to ask because you actually were the inspiration to this question that we ask our guests.
Okay.
And that is, music inspires us and lifts us up and helps us thrive. Is there a certain song that when you're not quite on your game that you pick? Now, I say this because you have to understand, I attended an event with Doug where the requirement of the event was you needed to share with Doug what song you want to be announced to the stage.
So what's my theme? What's my theme song?
So that's actually the question. What is Doug's music that they play when you're being called up to speak on the stage?
Geez, I don't even have a freaking clue. You know, it's amazing. A guy that has played at over 3,500 gigs, 2,100 bar mitzvahs in my life, 3,500 total gigs. I don't have a theme song. I don't even know how to answer that question. I mean, I love artists like Steely Dan and James Taylor and the Eagles. Life in the Fast Lane. How about that one? All right.
Life in the Fast Lane's a good one.
That would actually be a good theme song to play as you're coming up because that's the reality of my life.
The production team, though, is probably going to open the song with the music to Thriller because
that's true. I should have said that. Damn, I missed an opportunity.
Listeners need to understand this, and this is something really impressive. Doug, he's a natural MC. He's got a great voice. He's really good at DJ. I will tell you, to run a party is challenging enough, but to run an event with music is even harder. It's longer. There's much more involvement, and he is integral to making an event successful this way with his music, which is great. If you ever have a chance to have him online at an event, it's phenomenal. But he can get the audience up and actually teach the Thriller dance.
Oh, geez.
It was spectacular. I stood there. I had no idea how good you were at this, by the way.
It's good on the optics. It really is. It's good because there's a lot of movement. There's only 5 basic moves in it. And when you get a crowd of maybe 50 to 80 people that are behind you and you can get that on camera, it's fucking amazing. I can tell you that. I love it. It's so good. Thank you.
And most people do get it because we, growing up with it, anyone really aged from, I guess, like 40 to 60 certainly gets it, but even younger people too. So it's really awesome. So we've landed some kind of song. The question now I want to hit this with is, as you are thinking about podcasting moving forward, for you, do you have a guest? Because I know you have interviewed so many people. It's actually something you should start tracking because it's like a book in itself. Is there someone you want to interview that you have yet to?
Absolutely. 100%. I can tell you that I want to interview my dad. I wish he was alive for me to be able to interview him. I so want to have that conversation with my dad. And I've had a lot of people, my dad, for those in your community that might not know him, my dad was Dave Sandler, and anybody that's in sales has maybe heard of his training program. And again, another connection for you, Lou. But so many of the things that he had done over the years were just like, for me, he was just the epitome of what a true non-pressure, common sense salesperson is all about. And I really would love to interview him. That being said, I can't do it. I can't do it. So who is on my short list? I don't even know that I have a short list anymore. It seems like every time I come up with somebody, whether it's Gary Vaynerchuk, Ariana Huffington, John C. Maxwell. I mean, I've gotten some Jeffrey Gittimer. I've gotten some heavy hitters on my show. Jackie the Joke Man Martling, thanks to you, Lou Diamond. That was great. I mean, we've had some good gets. Geez, I don't even know. Very similar to my theme song. I have no idea who I'd want.
We're gonna figure that one out.
What's really nice though is that now I get a lot of people. I mean, we get, during this time, I probably get every day between 10 and 20 applications to get on my show. But I haven't gotten any of the big hitters recently to ask, and they would normally ask, and they probably will again. But I'd rather have a guy like you that I can have a genuine, down to earth conversation about and just not even worry about what I'm talking about. Just have a good talk.
You gave me that expression once. Treat your friends like rock stars and treat rock stars like your friends.
Right. It's true.
I think it's applicable. So the way I wanted to wrap this episode, because we'll make sure we have the right effects for this.
You told me an hour and a half. I came with an hour and a half of material.
I said 30 minutes, and here we are in the 29th minute. You pain in the ass.
Okay. All right.
So here it is. We both at times use Steve O'Brien to do voiceovers.
Yeah, of course.
He has done so many amazing ones. We will certainly have some fun ones, and I want to make sure I incorporate this. Which was your favorite Steve O'Brien opening or closing, whatever it might have been that you've used?
Well, that's an easy one, because anytime somebody's going to mention me, that's always the best part of it. So Steve, the joke with Steve is Steve's best minute of the show is the beginning and the end, where he can listen to himself do the open and the close. But there's a whole opening and closing about something about never tell the truth to Doug, especially about the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus. So for me, that one's really cool, because it does bring me back to my childhood, where like nobody would tell me the truth. You can't tell Doug the truth, especially about the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus.
Oh, that's awesome. We'll make sure we get that in there. The Doug Sandler from Nice Guys on Business, head of Turnkey Podcast. Truly a pleasure to have you on live on the Thrive Loud podcast. It's always a pleasure. It's always a lot of fun. Here's to many, many, many more episodes to you. Best to JJ, and continue to thrive onward and upward, my friend.
Thanks, Lou. I'm just trying to figure out when they're going to take you off the fucking air.
They won't.
They won't do it.
If they still have you on all those shows, I am in the clear.
True. Best of luck. Well, if you're going to be on the air, best of luck to you. Thank you, Lou, for having me here.
And to all our listeners out there, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
Be gone.